So I saw this clip, and on its face, I was like, this is interesting. But then I had to ask several questions. Who are these people? And once you know who the people are and what their actual mission is, and you're like, oh, this is part of the game, but it's clever. So I'm going to play this clip. I want y'all to listen with your third ear. Play it.
I have a chapter in the book called The War Against Black America. It's called Weaponizing the Poor, The War Against Black America. And I point out that the communists had been targeting the blacks since the 1920s. They've been at it since the beginning. And the last thing in the world they want is a happy, prosperous black community. They want them isolated, angry, feeling oppressed, because a happy, a content population is of no value to them.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
I am not having this conversation the way I really, really want to have it because of the space that we're in. And I also realize that people are listening and taking note. I'm watching, and this is another adjacent to the conversation that we're having right now about Puffy, because it's really not about Puffy at all. It's about us. But I saw a clip of two people, Lara Logan, who's a South African television journalist, South African, like Elon Musk, South African. All right, I'm saying something. And Jim Simpson, who is the author of something called Manufactured Crisis, The War to End America. These are he's a conservative. Think MAGA, but think more Russell Vogt, Curtis Yarvin, MAGA, but, you know, MAGA architect, okay? And they were having a conversation about black people in a kind of glowing way. So there's a couple things going on right now in this very hyper-conservative, I'm going to call them what they are, racist, even though they don't like to be called racist. Y'all are racist because you center race. You tell us we're centering race and we complain too much about race, but it's really you're obsessed with black people because you recognize that races are made of constructs. So you're constantly chasing this, you know, this ever moving, you know, thing called whiteness. You're chasing it. You know, you've been chasing it since you invented it, which is why you have to keep expanding. You know, you let the Irish in and then the Italians and then the Spanish speaking people. But then you had to make sure that their Telemundo and stuff better be white Spanish speaking. You better, Goya, you better not put what the most of the people who speak Spanish look like out there because they are projecting something, right? But they're having another conversation because they're using us at the same time to divide differently. So there's an inside out conversation. There's an African, Caribbean versus Black American thing that's being fomented. And that's not inside the house. That's outside the house. Similar to what I look at it like Rwanda, right? The Hutus and Tutsis, they weren't natural enemies. They were cousins. Most of them were married to each other and neighbors and relatives. What happened? How did they kill each other? Oh, they were, you know, over a radio broadcast over several months, told that they were each other's enemies and they bought it. I'm sad that it's that easy, but it's a playbook, right? So now there's another conversation, and I always hear these buzzwords. When you hear a white person say, you guys are always playing the victim, that should raise your spidey senses. That's a racist trope. They are utilizing that. And in their circles, what the commentary is that anytime we talk about race, we're playing the victim. Anytime we talk about, you know, history, we're playing the victim. And that's their way to absolve themselves from having any responsibility to do anything different other than to continue to be horrible. So I saw this clip, and on its face, I was like, this is interesting. But then I had to ask several questions. Who are these people? And once you know who the people are and what their actual mission is, and you're like, oh, this is part of the game, but it's clever. So I'm going to play this clip. I want y'all to listen with your third ear. Play it.
I have a chapter in the book called The War Against Black America. It's called Weaponizing the Poor, the War Against Black America. And I point out that the communists had been targeting the blacks since the 1920s. They've been at it since the beginning. And the last thing in the world they want is a happy, prosperous black community. They want them isolated, angry, feeling oppressed, because a happy, a content population is of no value to them.
None.
They can't use them.
Mm-hmm.
They can't use them.
And by the way, look at what the Nazis did with their program. You know, all the Germans that they targeted because their blood, Germans who were not Jewish, targeted because, you know, they weren't pure enough or whatever. And look at what Margaret Sanger and the Democrats were doing, right? With Bill Gates's father. What were they doing? I have a very great friend, Angela Stanton King, who has taught me a lot about this. And all the people around her have taught me about this. And they figured out there's a reason you have all these abortion clinics in black neighborhoods. And it's not for the benefit of the black people.
No.
It's not. And it is by design. It's not an accident.
No,
These things don't just randomly pop up in these places. Somebody put them there. And there was actual thought that went into that. And what was that thought? It was nefarious. Yeah. And it was divisive, and it was filled with hate.
Now, two things can be true, because she was right, this South African chick, about Margaret Sanger. Not a friend. She's right about where they put the abortion clinics, like where they put the Fresenias and the Davidas. She's right. There is a willful thing. At the same time, you are also on the other side. You aren't our friend either. I said, man, they can't get enough of using black people to promote a certain level of division, whether it's on that side. And you're going to bring up Angela Stanton King, who is Martin Luther King's niece, who is absolute full MAGA. And they've been and some of y'all are in the same boat. You've been infected because they found that one thing, abortion, and the eugenics, and you are all in because, yes, they did do that. But what's the game on you now? Like, why are they using you to promote this narrative? This guy, a full MAGA conservative, wrote a whole book, and he's got a whole chapter on the war to end Black America. How intriguing. And as you lean in, weaponizing the poor. Because again, the narrative is black people are poor. Black people are the poor. The majority of poor people in this country are white. The majority of people on SNAP and WIC and welfare are white. The majority of uneducated people in this country are white. They're the ones that are actually being duped, and the narratives are so clever that they got the poorest white man. What did Lyndon Baines Johnson say? We could convince the poorest white man that he's better. We can pick his pocket. I'm paraphrasing right now. Maybe I should do the whole clip, the whole Lyndon Johnson. Let me look it up real quick. Lyndon Johnson quote. Put it in there. Okay, let's find the quote. Come on. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. He'll give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. This is the playbook, people. This race thing, made up. What role do you play in perpetuating it? What role do you play in fostering it? And if you're black, how are you in alignment with this? Listen, I would never have an abortion in my entire life. Never have, never would. That said, if God gave you free will, who am I to take it away? That's between you and your God, whether you believe in God or not. Even if you don't believe in God, that's between you and whatever. That's not my life. It's not my business. Why are we in it? But they're using it politically because they know so many of us are tied to it. And we call it religion, but it's something else in there that it makes you feel better than that person. And you are feeling like, oh, this person's for me, but they're not. They're playing a very, very vicious, long game. And we got to be aware of all of the machinations that are around us. So if you find yourself getting into these culture wars and, I'm foundational black or I'm this or that, pause yourself. How did this happen? Patrice Lumumba and Nkrumah were run out and then set up and killed by this government and the EU and all, which didn't exist, but it happened inside of Africa. Neighboring countries, they were able to pay off the guy next door to sell him out. Rwanda, people living next to each other, whole ass genocide. Like, we got to be real careful. Things are coming together. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. We are actually getting somewhere, but we got to be vigilant. And they are being real tricky with the language out here. And out here, you could lean in. This Catherine lady that I had on Fitz. Oh, she said some things. That's why I brought her on and was quiet. She said some things that made so much sense. And then she voted for Trump 3 times. And I was like, what was that about? What was that about? I would respect you more if you hadn't voted. But then you want to sell what? What are you selling to me? Why are you coming here to sell what exactly? We got to be very careful. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that I pull the thread on all of it.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.